So we're going to be doing the Ascension Attunement, and I want to go over a little bit of what it is and why it's so important. We've been taught to be on one end of the spectrum or one end of the polarity, which keeps the other polarity in place and also creates a lot of shadow material. So we've been taught not to focus on, and I'm sure a lot of you have heard this, don't focus on what's negative, don't focus on what you don't want, only focus on the positive. But what that does is it keeps the opposite is already there. So if you're already feeling down or depressed, to try to say, oh, I'm not, or everything's good. It's not. You're not going to feel it in your body. You're not going to feel good. So in order for us to ascend, we have to come to the middle ground, or the middle way of the polarity, meaning we can't be on one extreme or the other. So what the Ascension Attunement is literally a moving into or going into that which you don't want. Okay? So whether it's fear or anger or you're irritated, usually we've been taught don't feel that way. Don't think that way. But what it does is it just reinforces the opposite, the extreme. So really on the earth plane what we've been doing is we've been living out this extreme. You guys have probably seen that, right? You have the extreme. So we've been living that polarity out. In the Ascension, the idea is to rise above the polarity, to rise above the extremes of the polarity and to be in that balance point of the polarity. So what you want to do is not run from or hide what it is that you're feeling or what you don't like or what you don't understand, whether it's a situation, an emotion, fear. People talk, don't feel fear. Well, if you're afraid, you feel that fear. So literally what happens with the Ascension Attunement is you literally move into that. When I do it, I even feel my whole body going into that which I'm either afraid of or that I don't want to feel, or the uncertainty. This is great if you're feeling uncertainty right now in your life. It's to move into that. It's to not brace. We've been taught to brace or prepare or don't go there. In order to ascend, to arise above duality, we need to go into that one polarity. And then as we go into that, then move into the opposite, which then becomes the complementary. Everybody kind of understand that? Any question on that? All right. So just to start, if you close your eyes, and I want you to really feel and think of what it is that you don't want to think about or feel. Maybe it's uncertainty, maybe it's fear, maybe there's a situation right now in your life that is really challenging. And I want you, as you close your eyes, I want you to feel that fear, that uncertainty. And I want you to feel yourself going into it, going into the center of it. And so you're going to focus on the fear, the uncertainty. You're going to focus on the challenging situation, the difficulty. You're going to focus on and feel what it is you don't normally want to feel. And you're going to feel yourself moving into it. So feel that fear, feel that uncertainty. Some of you mentioned a nervousness. I want you to feel the nervousness and go inside it more. Feel yourself moving into the nervousness. Even feel your body leaning into the nervousness. Feel yourself moving into the nervousness even more. Feel yourself moving into the uncertainty even more. Feel yourself moving into the pain even more. Keep moving more and more into that which you don't want to feel. Breathe into that which you don't want to feel and feel yourself moving into it as you breathe out. Feel yourself moving into it. Lean into that which you don't want to feel. Whether you picture it or see it in your mind's eye or you feel it inside, you're going to move into that which you don't want to feel. Feel yourself moving into it. Some of you said nervousness, anxiety. Feel yourself moving into the anxiety more and more. Feel yourself moving into that anxiety all the way into the center of it, and feel yourself leaning into the anxiety. Go into the anxiety. Feel the body into the anxiety all the way there, all the way inside the anxiety. And now move your awareness to the side of it and create the opposite. Feel yourself going into the opposite now. And as you go into the opposite, you're now creating the opposite. Begin to feel the opposite of what you were feeling. Feel the opposite of what you were thinking. Create the opposite to what you were feeling and thinking, and go there. Feel yourself moving into the opposite of what you were thinking and feeling, and go all the way inside there. Feel yourself in the opposite and go there. Feel the opposite now. You begin to feel the opposite. As you feel the opposite, you move into the opposite. You're creating the opposite now. Go all the way into the opposite, and you'll begin to feel the opposite as the complement, and go there. Go all the way there. And feel the opposite getting bigger and bigger, feeling getting bigger around you. Feel the opposite around you. Feel the opposite expanding now around you. And center there. Feel the opposite getting bigger and bigger, and center there. As you feel the opposite getting bigger and bigger, expanding around you, you're creating the opposite now. Feel yourself creating the opposite. And as you create the opposite, you now move into the opposite. Feel the opposite. And as you feel the opposite, you're feeling the complement there. Let it get bigger and even bigger. Feel the opposite all around you. Feel it surrounding you. And as you feel the opposite, you're creating more of the opposite. You're creating more of the opposite now, and feeling the opposite now. You now feel the opposite. Feel yourself centering there. Feel the opposite. You're creating the opposite now. Feel the opposite now. And center there. Let your awareness center. Feel yourself centered inside. So the key with the Ascension attunement is to allow what is there. Don't fight it. You don't need to resist it. Because whatever is there, the opposite is always there. On the polarity plane, the duality of manifestation, the opposite is always there. And you allow the opposite. Go into the center of the opposite. Feel the opposite. So whatever's happening in your life now, whatever it's that you're not wanting to feel or think about, or feels constricting or restricted, go into that, feel that, allow that. Go into the feeling of it. It allows you to go into the subtle energy. As you move into the subtle energy, you can begin to connect into the opposite or the complement of it. You're focusing now on the complement to what you didn't want to feel or experience. To let yourself go into the center. So when we don't resist what's really there, we allow for the complement. It will naturally come. It's naturally there. And you naturally begin to ascend beyond the two. You move out of the polarity plane. When you allow what is fully and completely and go into that, feel that, you begin to enact the opposite, or what seems to be the opposite. You move into the opposite. As you move into the opposite, you begin to rise above, you begin to ascend above the two. It is this that we begin to ascend. The ascension is moving beyond the opposites, beyond the extremes of polarity. We ascend when we move beyond the extremes of polarity or duality, and we center above, or we center within, we center in the middle way. And this is what's meant by rising above. In allowing, we rise above by allowing the opposite, by allowing the complement, we ascend and rise above.